Greetings friends and welcome back to Recon by Fire. For today's battle, Steve is in the house and he's bringing his Salamanders in the Firestorm detachment. He's bringing Adrax Agatone, leading a squad of Blade Guard vets and a lieutenant attached. Vulcan Hestan, leading a squad of Infernus Marines. Squad of Scouts. Infiltrators. 2x3 Inceptors. A Techmarine. A Ballistus Dreadnought. A Repulsar, a Lancer, and a Land Raider. Chaos Knights are running the Infernal Lance detachment and are bringing an Atrapos, a Rampager, a Despoiler, 1 Huntsman, 2 Stalkers, 3 Karnivores, and a squad of Bloodletters. For today's battle, we are playing Mission Pack Hotel, which is supply drop. Deployment is Hammer and Anvil, and we're playing on terrain layout 8. Southern objective will be leaving on turn 4, and the northern objective will be leaving on turn 5. We do have some pre-game actions, and the Stalker will scout forward 6 inches towards the center. Second Stalker will also scout forward towards the natural expansion. Scouts sense that they are in danger and will scout back 6 inches. Start of round 1 and the Chaos Knights are going first. They will select Darkness as their aura, making any units outside of 18 inches or Battle Shock -1 to hit. They will draw Engage on all fronts and extend battle lines as their secondaries for the turn. Start of the command phase, and Chaos Knights are going to start their Malefic Surges. The Atrapos goes first and fails, suffering 3 mortals. Green Stalker is next and succeeds. Rampager will succeed. Bone Stalker will succeed as well. Gold Carnivore is good to go. Gray Carnivore will fail and suffer 2 mortal wounds. Last up is the Despoiler. It will succeed and is also empowered. Knights are going to spend a command point and the Rampager will sticky the home objective. Start of the movement phase, and the Green Stalker is going to go after the Buggy and potentially the Land Raider. Stalker has just enough movement to clear the wall and get to the other side of the terrain piece. Despoiler will pop its empowerment to get +3 to its movement and will crash through the wall, succeeding its Battle Shock test. Gray Carnivore will pop empowerment and advance to get it all the way to the center objective well behind cover. Gold Carnivore will hold on to its empowerment, but the advance is not good enough to get it onto the center objective as well. Bloodletters will advance and reposition to screen out the backfield. Knight Atrapos will empower for movement and advance thanks to the assault enhancement to tow onto the building and be able to see through it. Black Carnivore will advance to make it all the way around the building and on to the objective with the Atrapos. Knight Rampager will push towards the center to stage for next turn. It will use its empowerment to have enough movement to clear the wall. Start of the shooting phase, and the Stalker will empower for lethals, sending the Havoc Launcher into the Scouts, failing to score a wound, and the Thermal Spear into the Land Raider, also failing to score a wound. Bone Stalker is up next. It will fire its Thermal Spear into the Repulsar. In response, Salamanders will burn a command point to pop smoke, and it scores no wounds. Havoc Launcher into the Scout, and it manages to pick one up. Atrapos will fire everything at the Ballistus. It survives at 2 wounds remaining. Despoiler will send everything into the Repulsar. Smoke is still in effect, and it fails to score a single wound. Green Stalker will successfully make the charge into the Mario Kart. The Slaughter Claw has no problem picking it up, and the Stalker will then consolidate into the Land Raider. Land Raider will attempt to run it over with its tracks, no joy. That is going to end the turn for the Chaos Knights. They will score 4 points for Engage on all fronts and 4 points for Extend battle lines. At the end of the turn, Salamanders will pick up the Scouts. Bottom of round 1, and the Salamanders will draw Extend battle lines and no prisoners as their secondaries for the turn. Oath of Moment is the Knight Despoiler. Techmarine will buff the Lancer, giving it +1 to hit. Start of the movement phase, and the Ballistus will reposition to get line of sight down the center. Lancer will adjust to get line of sight on the Despoiler. Repulsar moves out of the building and towards the Stalker. Techmarine will stay close behind it. The Land Raider is stuck in combat, but Adrax and the Blade Guard vets will disembark. Vulcan and the Infernus Marines will disembark from the Repulsar. Adrax and company are going to move on to the center of the field and eyeball the nearby Karnivore. Eradicators now have the room to disembark and have eyes on the Stalker. Start of the shooting phase, the Land Raider will fire into combat into the Stalker and brings it down to just 2 wounds remaining. Infiltrators fire into it, hoping to take it down, but no joy. Lancer is up next and will split fire, sending the big gun into the Despoiler, knocking off 9 wounds, and the rest into the Stalker, but it survives at a single wound. Techmarine opens fire on the Stalker, and the anti-vehicle 2+ does the trick, taking it down. Ballistus will fire into the Karnivore on the center objective, but no joy. Vulcan selects the Despoiler as his reroll target and sends himself as well as half the flamers into it, knocking it down to 12 wounds remaining. The rest will fire into the nearby Stalker and bring it down to just 8 wounds. Repulsar will send everything into the Big Knight but fails to score a single wound. Eradicators send everything into the Stalker directly in front of them and he gone. But it will explode, oh boy. Grey Karnivore suffers 2 mortals. Blade Guard veterans will pick up a model. Eradicators suffer 1 wound. Infernus Marines will lose 1 and wound another. And lastly, the Repulsar is down to 13. Start of the charge phase, and Adrax with the Blade Guard vets will make the charge into the Karnivore on the center objective. As expected, Knights will spend their command point to heroically intervene with the Rampager. Salamanders are then going to spend a command point on Crucible of Battle and send all their attacks into the Karnivore, which easily tears it apart. Knight Rampager is up next. It will use the sweep on its fist, and the Blade Guard vets will spike their saves, only losing 3 models. Unfortunately, that means the Knight does have more OC than the Blade Guard vets and will seize control of the point. That is going to end the turn for the Salamanders. They will score the full 5 points on no prisoners, but fail to score extend battle lines, so they will discard it for a command point. If you're enjoying the battle report thus far, it would be an absolute delight if you would lightly tap that like and subscribe button for us. Top of round 2 for the Chaos Knights, and they will draw Display of Might and Mark for Death as their secondaries for the turn. Mark for Death targets will be the Repulsar, the Land Raider, and the Techmarine. Gamma target will be the Ballistus Dreadnought. Knight Despoiler will fail its leadership check and become battle shocked, meaning the Knights will only score 10 points on primary for controlling 2 objectives. Atrapos will succeed its surge. Black Karnivore will fail and take 1 mortal. Rampager will succeed. Despoiler will succeed its check. Gold Karnivore will fail and take 1. Start of the movement phase, Bloodletters are going to advance and continue to spread out across the backfield. Black Karnivore will move in on the Land Raider to hopefully bait out the Overwatch, but no joy. Gold Karnivore will position just behind the template to avoid the Overwatch, but position for a short charge. Atrapos will plow through the wall like the Kool-Aid Man, does not pull the Overwatch, but has line of sight on both the Land Raider, the Lancer, and the Ballistus. Despoiler wants to avoid getting blown up by Overwatch, so will remain in place. Going into the shooting phase, Rampager will fire out of combat into the Infernus Marines, but they make all their saves. Gold Karnivore fires indirect into the Infernus Marines and picks up the wounded one. Second Karnivore into the same squad, no joy. Despoiler is up next and will pop empowerment for sustained hits. It fires the Melta Cannon into the Repulsar and knocks off 9 wounds. Small Melta into the Infernus Marines and picks up a model. Storm Spear rockets into the Eradicators and it picks up 2 of them. Atrapos will split fire, sending its Las Cutter into the Repulsar. In response, Salamanders will pop both Smoke and Armor of Contempt for 2 command points. They were hoping to keep it alive, and it does the trick as it survives at 4 wounds. Singularity Cannon into the Land Raider, but no joy. Karnivore is going to attempt to charge the Infernus Marines. They will use the Repulsar's ability to hop back in it, and so it will change its targets, dual charging the Repulsar and the Lone Eradicator. Karnivore needs a 7 and rolls a 4. Automatic reroll, and it rolls a 3. Oh no! Of course, the Karnivore into the Land Raider will follow it up, rolling an 11. It will make sure it's able to consolidate onto the Infiltrators, but stay within the 9-inch aura of the Rampager to reroll 1s. Chaos Knights spend a CP to tank shock, and it scores 3 mortals. Atrapos will make the charge into the Ballistus Dreadnought. Atrapos into the Ballistus, and it picks it up with ease. Karnivore will empower for lethal hits, swinging into the Land Raider. It spikes its saves and stays alive at 9 wounds. For ongoing combat, the Blade Guard vets are going to select reroll 1s to hit, and the Rampager will pop its empowerment for a 6-up Feel No Pain. Adrax and company will swing into the fresh Rampager and bring it all the way down to just 11 wounds remaining. Average roll on the crackback from the Rampager, but the Blade Guard vets will spike their saves and only they go down, leaving the Lieutenant and Adrax alive. That is going to end the turn for the Chaos Knights. They will score 2 points on Mark for Death for taking out the Gamma target, and since the Lieutenant and Adrax count as 2 units, they are tied for units in the center, and it scores 0 on Display of Might. They will discard it for a command point. It is still only the bottom of round 2, and the Salamanders will draw Bring It Down and Defend Stronghold as their secondaries for the turn. They control 0 objectives in No Man's Land and will score 0 on primary. Techmarine will buff the Impulsor, giving it a +1 to hit, and will heal 3 wounds back. Despoiler will remain the Oath of Moment. Start of the movement phase, the Lone Eradicator will move into the terrain piece to have line of sight on both Big Knights. Repulsar will also move forward but maintain line of sight on both Big Knights. Techmarine will follow quickly behind. Vulcan and company will disembark from the Repulsar, all inside the building to have line of sight. Scouts will arrive from strategic reserves to screen out the backfield. First Inceptor squad will arrive from Deep Strike in hopes to taking down the Despoiler. Second squad of Inceptors will steal the abandoned objective. Chaos Knights will burn a command point to rapid ingress the Huntsman from reserves. Start of the shooting phase, and the Inceptors will fire into the Despoiler. Twin linked and 2 damage seems pretty good, and it is down to just 4 wounds remaining. Repulsar is up next and fires everything into the Despoiler. This proves to be enough to take the big man down. It will deadly demise, scoring 2 wounds on the Inceptors and 2 wounds on the nearby Karnivore. Land Raider Redeemer fires into the Karnivore it's in combat with and brings it down to just 5 wounds remaining. Lancer will fire into the same Karnivore and takes it down, but it does explode. This is going to deal 3 mortals to the Land Raider and pick up an Infiltrator. Eradicator fires into the Karnivore and brings it down to 8 wounds. Inceptors into the Rampager and they take it down to 7 wounds remaining. Adrax will fire his pistol into the Rampager, plinking off another wound. Vulcan and the Infernus Marines will fire into the Rampager and get rerolls thanks to his ability, and it proves to be enough. Down goes the Rampager. Oof. That is going to end the turn for the Salamanders. They will score 4 points for Bring It Down. Defend Stronghold is ongoing. Salamanders have not only lit fire to the Chaos Knights' hopes and dreams, but also that subscribe button. Give it a quick little tappity tap to put the flames out. Top of round 3 for the Chaos Knights, they will draw no prisoners and behind enemy lines as their secondaries for the turn. They're not on any objectives and will score 0 on primary. Red Huntsman will succeed its Malefic Surge. Atrapos will fail and suffer 2 mortals. Gold Karnivore is good. Start of the movement phase, Huntsman will go after the Inceptors on the objective. Karnivore is going to attempt to clear off the center objective. Infernus Marines will take the opportunity to fire Overwatch, and it barely survives at just 3 wounds. Atrapos will move around the building to be able to charge the Land Raider and consolidate onto the objective. Start of the shooting phase, the Huntsman will split fire, sending the spear into the Lieutenant, but it makes its invul, and the small Melta into the Inceptors, picking one of them up. Atrapos is next and will fire everything into the Lancer, only scoring 4 wounds. Time for charges, and the Atrapos will make the charge into the Land Raider. Karnivore makes the dual charge into the 2 characters, but forgets to tank shock. Huntsman will successfully make the charge into the Inceptors. Start of the fight phase, Huntsman will pop empowerment for sustained hits and swings in, but only picks up a single Inceptor. Oh no! Karnivore is going to empower for lethals since it already has sustains, and will split attack, sending 2 into the Lieutenant, which absolutely whiff thanks to being bracketed, and 4 into Adrax, but he makes the saves. Yep. Mistakes were made. Salamanders will spend a command point on Armor of Contempt for the Land Raider. Atrapos will swing in, and no joy. Land Raider will swing back, but no damage dealt. Adrax into the Karnivore, and he picks it up. No explosion. That is going to end the turn for the Chaos Knights. They will score 3 points for behind enemy lines, and hold on to no prisoners as they took nothing down this turn. Salamanders will score 3 points for successfully defending their stronghold. Bottom of round 3, and the Salamanders will draw a tempting target and engage on all fronts as their secondaries for the turn. At the start of the round, the point differential was greater than 5, so they will draw Pivotal Moment as their challenger card. They control 1 objective and will score 5 points on primary. Oath of Moment is the Knight Atrapos. Start of the movement phase, the Inceptor will fall back to score behind enemy lines. Scouts will arrive in the back corner to also score behind enemy lines. Adrax and the Lieutenant move in on the Huntsman. Vulcan and company will advance to get on the center objective and be within range of the Huntsman. Repulsar and Techmarine will back up to get line of sight on the Atrapos. Inceptors will reposition to seize control of the objective. The Repulsar, the Lancer, the Techmarine, and the Redeemer all fire into the Knight Atrapos, easily taking it down. Vulcan is going to mark the Huntsman as his reroll target, and all 3 units send everything into it, whittling it down. Adrax will make the charge into the Huntsman, and flat 3 damage does the trick, easily picking up the War Dog. It does not explode. That is going to end a very strong turn for the Salamanders. They will score 5 points for a tempting target, 5 points for engage on all fronts, and 3 points for scoring their challenger card. With the Chaos Knights effectively being tabled here, our players are going to call it, making the final score with paint 33-40 with a decisive victory for the Salamanders. Thank you, Steve, so much for coming out and playing, and thank you, the viewer, for watching and helping us reach 1,000 subs. If you like what you see, by all means, please share the channel with a friend, as it really helps us out. That'll do it for this battle, so until next time, as always, friends, happy gaming.